Ladies and gentlemen, this is a nervous system opening. It is a paradigm shifting conversation that I'm about to have just with you. So there's a conversation between me and you about what it actually means to fear being seen and how reclaiming your rage is the missing piece in your feminine expression or your masculine expression and your safety in your body and magnetism. So, a couple things I want to go through with you guys in this episode. Firstly, I want to go through why you are potentially shutting down in moments that you want to actually speak up, how to feel safe to feel your rage without judgment. I mean, not from necessarily from other people, because I'm going to tell you to do it in behind closed doors, but judgment actually from ourself. I also want to explain to you guys a bit about the nervous system reason why behind we often fear our own like bigness and really being seen and being big in our expression. And then we will talk probably a little bit about how this affects like our sex life and our love life and feminine magnetism and all of those things. So I had a client who recently I was on a session with, and she would literally lose her voice when she wanted to say what she authentically wanted to say. Like her throat chakra would just shut down. And the reason for this was because she was so scared to be seen in her truth. And so many women, they want to be magnetic. They want to feel safe in their feminine. They want to have better sex. This goes for men too. Men want to feel safe to be in their masculine. They want to feel safe having sex. They want to feel safe owning their no as well. But we don't realize the very thing that is blocking us is this fear of being fully expressed. And really, the fear of being seen is actually the fear of being judged for who we really are. We are the biggest judges, if you will, of ourselves. We often think, oh, I don't want somebody else judging me. But the reality is we're the ones judging ourselves. If we weren't judging that about ourselves, we wouldn't give a fuck what somebody else was thinking about us. The example that I've used with you guys before is it's like if I was judging, let's just say my hair, right? Oh, I have really thin hair. Or I was telling myself I have really thin hair. And by the way, for everyone that knows I don't, I have so much hair that I could honestly lose a bit. Like people are worried about the postpartum hair loss because their hair gets like finally thick. And I'm like, honestly, my hairdresser was saying this the other day. She's like, honestly, you could lose a little bit. Like, and you'd be fine. If I was telling myself, oh, like I judge my hair, I have really thin hair, my hair is really frail. Then when somebody else says to me, your hair, like, it's a bit thin. The reason why that hits and I think that person's judging me is because I'm judging that about myself. But I don't judge that about myself. I know that I actually have really thick hair. So if someone said to me like, oh, like your hair is, let's just say, so interesting, like in that kind of remark, right? And I'm using like such a basic example, but just so that you guys understand. Um, because I don't think that about myself, I'd be like, okay. And I wouldn't take it as a judgment. So when we are actually afraid of being seen, very often it is because we are afraid of being judged. Also, it can be that we are afraid of being rejected. The other thing that it can be, and I have done an episode before on being seen, so I would recommend listening to that as well, because I'm going to go at a little bit of a different angle in this podcast. So if you haven't listened to the previous one that I've done about being seen, I would definitely listen to that. But I want to bring in this different angle, which is like more of the power angle, because we can also fear being seen. And often what will happen is that a client might heal like the fundamental fear of being seen in regards to like childhood trauma and that kind of thing. And then the new way it comes up is a fear of their power. Because being fully seen is being fully powerful. You cannot be magnetic and be hiding at the same time. You cannot be someone that commands respect and then is hiding at the same time and afraid of being seen. Like the two do not go hand in hand. And I feel like for a lot of what I'm seeing in a lot of clients, especially a lot of young clients, is that the fear of being seen it's like it's almost kind of like a little bit of a modern anxiety because or like a modern I hate using the word anxiety, but like it's a modern, right? Like it's a modern form of anxiety because of social media. And we can be afraid to speak our truth. We are afraid of our power. We are afraid of our opinion. We are afraid of what feels so right in our body. Because if we are to be fully seen, we have to step fully into our power. So, noticing, okay, is this a modern, quote unquote, like a modern anxiety, or is it actually an ancestral trauma? And the ancestral trauma piece is important in this conversation, especially around power and like rage that we'll get into in a second. Because historically, women were punished for being expressive, for being loud, for being sexual, for being powerful. You might have even had this passed down from your grandmothers and your mothers of like, be a good girl, don't be too loud, don't speak back, like dress this certain way, be all prim and proper, like don't be better than the guys, that kind of stuff. And so that has instilled in you that it's not safe to be expressive, to be loud, to be powerful, to be bold, to be sexual. That can also come with the messaging of you're too much. That was a big one for me. You're too much, too energized, too loud, too talkative, too much to say, like be quiet. That be quiet can then cause that fear of being seen. And this also goes for men, even though historically you were not punished for just being, expressive and loud and sexual. The ancestral trauma, the generational trauma can still be a thing, or just the trauma from your parents because of whatever your family's history is. Your grandfather or your great grandfather could have passed down programming to your grandfather, and then he didn't break it. So then your grandfather passed it down to your father, and then your father didn't break it. So your father's passed it down to you as well. So it feels like this truth of I cannot be loud. I cannot own my nose. I cannot be powerful. I cannot be masculine because this bad thing will happen. That feels true in your body, but it's not actually true. And so that's why the trauma healing is so important, and not just sitting there doing the mantras, because the more that you say to yourself, like it's safe to be seen, but you don't actually believe it in your body does not feel safe to be seen at all. Your nervous system is like, no, it's not. You say it's safe to be seen, and then straight away your brain, your body goes, no, it's not. And so what you're doing every time that you say that mantra is you're actually instilling it's not safe to be seen, because your body is rejecting it every time you say it. Versus if you take the angle of going into your body and releasing that and then coming back to like actual truth and safety in your body, then you can bring in all these new beliefs from like this empty slate, this empty book. Okay, so let me break this down for you guys a little bit more. Your body stores this memory of being seen is being unsafe, right? That is what your body is saying to some extent. And this could be that just being seen in one situation is being unsafe, or it could be being seen in all situations as being unsafe. Let's also remember that trauma doesn't just come from childhood trauma. It doesn't just come from your parents. It also could be that you had a really, really negative experience in a previous job, let's just say, and you were 25 when you had that experience. And so since that experience, and now you're 35, that the last 10 years, you've actually had this fear of being seen, because being seen caused you to feel unsafe in that work scenario. So it's not even just childhood things. That's why I also wanted to mention that modern anxiety of social media, because I've noticed for a lot of people, and even in myself, of just how the more prevalent cancel culture has become, this new fear has come up for a lot of women and men that they didn't used to have on social media, of being canceled, being ripped a new one, that kind of stuff. And I know that was something that I really had to work through, even because when I first started my business, it's like the cancel culture like really was not a thing. And then I would say like around 2020, it got really big. I feel like a lot of us can agree with that. It got really big. And so I had to then actually work on this fear that had come up in a completely new way, because I wasn't that scenario wasn't something that I was, experiencing prior to that. So being seen to some extent in some area of your life, or in all areas of your life, makes your body feel like you are unsafe. And this doesn't mean that you're broken, or that you can't be quote unquote fixed, or anything like that. I want you to understand that it's your nervous system protecting you. Your body is doing exactly what it is meant to do. Your body is protecting you. It's just that it thinks that it's protecting you from like a saber-toothed tiger when actually it's protecting you from a fucking keyboard warrior over on the other side that has no life. Like that's who your nervous system is protecting you from. And that's why, it's easy to just think, oh, the solution is to not have social media, to just live in buttfuck nowhere and to kind of go off the grid, and then I'll be regulated in my nervous system. And like, yeah, you will be regulated in your nervous system, but also there's pros and cons to that. And that's why my approach of nervous system regulation is not just live off the grid and like disconnect from everybody, but actually how can you learn to stay regulated even in those moments of stress? Even in those moments of fear or the moments where you're being canceled online or whatever it is, can you stay regulated or as regulated as possible, because we're human, during those moments rather than thinking you're not capable of being regulated in those moments? If you are craving more softness, magnetism, and ease in your life, but your body still feels like it is stuck in control, tension, or emotional burnout, you need to be inside Muse. It is a new masterclass that we are doing that I am so excited for. And this is not just another mindset training. Muse is a full body activation that shows you how to unlock your feminine energy, heal trauma at the root, and shift your nervous system into full receivership. So, inside this masterclass, I'm going to be breaking down why trauma is the number one thing blocking your magnetism and how to finally clear it, the 4 flavors of the feminine and how to embody your unique essence, how to rewire your nervous system so that receiving love, money, and success feels safe, the polarity shifts that make your man step up, lead, and cherish you, how feminine surrender makes you more powerful, not less powerful, and why your manifestations aren't landing. And a little hint, it is not about your vision board, it is in your body. So, Muse is where you are going to be able to stop chasing, forcing, and proving, and really start becoming the woman that attracts everything with ease. It is free. It is going to be potent as fuck, and it is happening live. So make sure that you are registered. You can save your seat by registering with the link below. And trust me when I say this is the shift your feminine energy has been waiting for. So I will see you there. So maybe your fear of being seen didn't actually come from being canceled. Maybe it came from childhood moments of you being laughed at or shut down or told that you were too much. Like I said before, that was a really big one for me. It could be that your nervous system has been conditioned because of your past, because of your childhood, to associate attention with danger. So if every time you got attention when you were a kid, it was actually because like you were about to get hit, for example, you are going to associate that attention with danger. You know, it's kind of like this, but not. I'm just going to totally go on a different tangent for a second, but stay with me. We often won't put 2 and 2 together of like, oh, attention equals danger. Just like we won't put 2 and 2 together of like, oh, you're addicted to spending money and shopping because money doesn't actually feel safe. We think like, oh, but like she loves shopping, so like she loves money, right? But at the same time, to her body, actually, yeah, like in her mind, she's like, I love money because I got to go shopping. But in her body, in her nervous system, she actually associates money with danger. And so she's trying to get rid of the money rather than feeling safe to hold the money, just like you could be trying to get rid of the attention because it doesn't feel safe to hold the attention. So, in the money example, it could be that you're trying to get rid of money because via shopping and the addiction to shopping, because, every time money was brought up in your household when you were little, it was about to be like there was a massive fight that was breaking out. Maybe it was that money was used for really bad things when you were little. Maybe it was that, money was always used so that your parents could buy alcohol and then they would get drunk all the time. You associated money with something bad, basically. There's an association of money is bad, right? From your childhood, there is that trauma around money. And so every time money comes into your bank account, you're like, oh, this is scary. I don't like this. I don't want to hold this because money is dangerous. I'm going to get rid of it. And so that's why you go shopping. These are all unconscious patterns, right? The same thing will then happen with being seen. You will self-sabotage opportunities in your career or in your life of being seen. When someone tries to give you a compliment, you'll completely play it down and push it off. You will not feel seen in, your dating life. You will not allow yourself to surrender and experience like amazing sex because that requires you to be seen. And being seen is associated with danger according to your nervous system. So don't forget that. That could be a point of reflection for you after this episode, or even if you want to pause this episode right now. If you are noticing somewhere in your life, and it could be a new level that you're breaking through, or it could be like, no, I've had this fear for a long time and I want to get rid of it, like this fear of being seen. Think about what you're afraid to be seen in, whether it's a career thing, whether it's a love thing, whether it's a everything thing. Think about what you're afraid to be seen in. Okay. Now I want you to think about and listen almost to, how is that opportunity or that situation, how is that dangerous? And like, don't tell me like, oh no, I know it's not. No, I'm not saying how is it dangerous? And then your brain comes in and actually says like, no, it's not dangerous. According to your body, or according to those thoughts in the back of your head, how is it dangerous? Okay. Because that is something that can be really powerful to ask yourself. It's kind of like, you wouldn't think to ask yourself that, but it's actually a really powerful thing to ask. It's like, why do I not want this thing? Why is this thing dangerous? Why is this thing scary? Like, why do I want to self sabotage this thing? Because you'll get a lot in that answer. And then, of course, ladies, sisterhood fucking wounding. Oh God, I feel like I need to do another episode on that. But sisterhood wounding, the bloody queen bee syndrome, the relational aggression, and then just the general bullying. And for men, you guys didn't have sisterhood wounding, but you absolutely had bullying, especially if you were like not one of the popular guys, or you weren't the most masculine looking one at school. You maybe went through puberty a little bit later than the others. That could have caused you to be bullied. And so, because of the bullying or the sisterhood wounding, you have decided, your body has decided, and your brain has decided, it is not safe to be seen because I do not want to feel like that again. It's safer to be in hiding. Or if you had emotionally unavailable caregivers, it's safe for me to not see, feel, express, acknowledge my emotions. I'm just going to shut them down. I'm going to hide. I'm going to like become a shell of myself. Or if you had abusive caregivers, if you had abusive parents, then that one's super obvious, right? You probably actually did physically hide when you were little. And so that's going to then translate later on in life, of as soon as things feel a little bit too much for your nervous system, your default is hide. And so that can then, the fear of being seen not only just affects us from, having an amazing love life and career and friendships and all that, it also affects us in expanding our life, because you do not, when you come up on that edge where you're about to go outside your comfort zone and it feels kind of scary, and you're like, oh, I really want to do it, but I'm also really scared. And you have that fear coming up. You're like, oh, I don't like feeling this, hide. Because your nervous system has associated that fear with, I have to hide because of your past. So can you see how it, like, the fear of being seen can even block you in, expansive career opportunities or expansive personal opportunities, because you are not able to hold yourself in safety as you expand. This is why I say you do not manifest from your mind. You manifest from your body. Because if your nervous system does not feel safe to be seen, you will sabotage every opportunity that puts you in the spotlight, physically or energetically in the spotlight, or emotionally in the spotlight, even love. Your nervous system cannot differentiate between emotional danger and physical danger. It cannot differentiate between a danger that happened 10 years ago and a danger that happens now, until you have released that trauma from what happened 10 years ago and you've rewired your nervous system. Then once you've rewired your nervous system, it will not associate, oh, that feeling of like fear as you're expanding, for example. It won't associate that with the danger that happened 10 years ago, because that danger isn't still living in your body. So I kind of, dropped this one before about sex. Being seen and expressing emotions, especially big emotions, and surrendering in sex requires you to be seen. And so if your body doesn't feel safe being seen, if your body isn't regulated, and I don't mean oh, you have to do like 50 tools to be regulated. No, no. If you have not released the trauma and therefore your body is in a natural state of regulation where you don't have to do anything to make it regulated. That's what I'm talking about when I say regulated. You will then think this is a threat. Being seen as a threat, expressing emotions is a threat, especially big emotions, surrendering sex is a threat. That's what your body will say. Even just with the expressing emotions, you know, it's funny how there's like this catch 22 with this work. And the catch 22, and I've done an Instagram post on it. We'll link it below, actually. It'll be a past Instagram post, but that way you can look at the diagram that I'm talking about. And this diagram is the worthiness cycle. Or actually, I think we have us in a blog post, so we'll do the blog post. So it's like just bigger on your screen. So, and for those that don't have Instagram, so I have this thing that I've created called the worthiness cycle. And basically, what I explained in the worthiness cycle, but we can also use it for the sphere of being seen, is that, very often women or men will come to me and one of the things they want to work on is fear of being seen, or I don't feel worthy. But that same fear of being seen or I don't feel worthy is what makes them procrastinate, self-sabotage, not do this work for so long. It's what will make women feel like, oh, I don't want to be seen, so I'm not going to come to Monica's 3-day immersion because then I'll really, really, really be seen. Yeah, you will be seen, but in such safety. And you will catapult your healing. You will fully heal, I'm actually going to say, from what I've seen with all the other women that have done these immersions over the last 8 years. You will completely heal your fear of being seen because you are in obviously such a safe space. That is something that people are consistently saying, of just like, wow, the safety that I create in this space is beautiful. I'm not just like welcoming anybody into it. And that safety in being seen plus the trauma healing and the release is going to allow you after those 3 days to feel fully safe in your body being seen. I would even argue more than Queen Alchemy, because you can obviously, with Queen Alchemy, you can obviously hide behind a computer, right? And I can only, help you so much. You have to help yourself. Whereas if you come in person, it's like you cannot unless you don't come to the event, you cannot, like, unless you buy your ticket and don't come, you cannot self-sabotage because you're there in the room. And when every other woman is fully in her feels and going for it and in the rage, and we'll get into that in a second, it is such an invitation and so much permission for you to go there as well. Like, I'm just getting so excited thinking about it. It's truly just like, oh, there's so much work to put on, but they are truly the best things, the in-person. Oh my God, they're so good. Anyway, so I have goosebumps. So, expressing emotion, being seen, if that's your fear, that same fear that you want to work on can also be the reason why you then don't sign up to do the things. Same with, I want to feel worthy for the life of my dreams. That lack of worthiness can also be the same reason why you don't go and do the work. So I say this so that you can actually be aware of how you can be self-sabotaging yourself through the exact thing that you want to work on. Let me just give you, like, guys, a few examples of some ways, some really small ways that you could be afraid to be seen, especially if you think like, oh, I don't have a massive fear of being seen. There could be little things coming up that you could still work on. So one is avoiding eye contact during sex or during vulnerable conversations. Another one could be never initiating, because whether it's initiating sex, whether it's initiating a friendship catch up, whether it's initiating like, a work meeting, for example, because I'm not going to say initiate a date with a guy because we let him lead. But if you're a man listening to this, your fear of being seen could be like in regards to, it could show up as a fear of initiating a date with a woman, because fear of rejection lives in the body. The trauma lives in the body. If you feel numb during intimacy or during your day-to-day, that's your body in shutdown. It's in that kind of freeze response. You don't want to see yourself and see your stress and see your whatever you're going through and your emotions, let alone somebody else see them. Let me say that as like a really important highlight for this episode as well. The fear of being seen, if you are afraid of somebody else seeing you, you are also afraid of you seeing yourself. You are also afraid, and you don't fully see your pain, your emotion, your desires, your ambition, you do not see yourself. So whilst I know this whole episode has been focusing on letting other people see you, but also invitation to see yourself. Because that fear of being seen is also a fear of being intimately known by other people, but also by yourself. Okay, let's get into rage. Oh my God, I fucking love women and men in their rage. And the reason why is not because I like, that kind of maybe sounded weird, but the reason why I love seeing women and men in their rage is because I feel like I've given them the safety and the permission to actually fucking express themselves. If you are suppressing your rage, you suppress your life force. So many people have so much rage because they haven't given themselves permission to actually feel their rage, to feel their anger, to acknowledge what they're frustrated about. And so many women were taught that anger is bad, so we internalize it as shame, or we turn it into like just a constant feeling of anxiety. And for men, they weren't necessarily taught, I mean, some of them, especially these days, actually are, that like rage is bad. But nowadays, it's like if a man wants to release his rage, he's dangerous. No, he's not. Rage is not dangerous. Anger is not dangerous. It is an emotion. If you are expressing anger onto somebody, or if you are projecting your rage onto somebody, that's dangerous. That's not a vibe. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you are in a safe container like my 3-day immersion, and there is full permission I have fucking goosebumps because I cannot even tell you how, like, I like cry. This is why I can't do one of these immersions pregnant, because it's too emotional for me. But when women are in the rage and when we are doing all of that, and when oh my God, I just cannot. I am laughing, I am crying. There are pictures of me crying and laughing because it's just like, it's joy. Like, oh my God, I'm actually getting emotional. Like, it makes me feel so much joy in my body because it's also just like, it's deeper layers of permission for me as well as all the other women in the room, to know that we are safe to express ourselves. I mean, not necessarily we're actually safe in the world to express ourselves always, depending what your home environment is like. But in this space, you are safe to express yourself. So when all the women are raging, it is joy pulsing. It is not pain. I am not like, oh my God, this breaks my heart. The women feel so much pain. Like, yeah, I think that, but it's fucking joy that I feel. It is joy radiating through the rooms and through the room. And in the immersion roundtable, you guys will hear this. The women bring this up a lot, of how incredible it was to actually release that, and the amount of joy that it brought them to be able to release that. Because anger is clarity, rage is righteous. It is a sign that there is a unspoken desire that you have shoved down, and it has turned into and alchemized and manifested as rage. And if you are disconnected from your rage, you are disconnected from your power. You are disconnected from your voice. You are disconnected from your desires. You are not giving yourself permission. Not just permission to feel the rage, you are not giving yourself permission for something or for a lot of things in your life. And if you want to live a life where you are fully orgasmic, and like, as in like, you feel fully orgasmic in your day-to-day life, right? So it's when I say that, I mean a life that just turns you on. You cannot be fully orgasmic if you do not feel safe being fully expressed. That includes rage too. That includes grief. If you want to experience the highest levels of joy and radiance and happiness, you also need to be able to experience the rage and the grief. And I know that, in this personal development world, people can really be like, oh, don't feel the low vibrational emotions. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Feel the fucking low vibration emotions, because when you don't feel the low vibration emotions, they don't go anywhere. They just get shoved down. And then that manifests into different things. The problem is not low vibrational emotions, right? Like rage and anger and grief and shame and all of that. The problem is not feeling them. Because when we don't feel them, that then turns into the problem. But you are the one that adds the meaning to the emotion. You make rage bad. You make grief, something that people shouldn't have to feel. You make shame this like ugly thing. What if we just made it human? Right? What if we allowed that like shadowy stuff to be part of our feminine radiance? And when we allow ourselves to express it in a healthy way, it allows us to then be soft. We need the fire. We need, like, the darkness doesn't go anywhere, right? If we shove it down, though, it's going to then turn into ugly things. I also just love seeing women and men in their raw, primal state because it is liberating. It is liberating to feel that deeply connected to your body that you can go into a primal state. And I say this also now learning so much more about birth, because so many women share how liberating birth is and how primal it is. And I'm like, yeah, there is something about when we are connected to our rawness, to our emotion, to our depth, to our, our like animalistic side. It is fucking liberating because at the end of the day, we are animals. And if you fear rage, it is probably because you've been taught that rage is like destructive. Rage and anger are not the problem. It is repressed rage and anger that is the problem. I actually talk about this in my book in regards to like even domestic violence, of like it is so much of the suppressed rage and then it comes out as blackout rage, and that is really, really, really dangerous. So when I need to have a rage moment, I give myself permission for that. When Hal is like, I am so fucking angry, I'm like, babe, go get angry. Like, don't do it in front of me, but go and get angry. In this house, I said this before, in this house, we welcome anger. We welcome rage. Like, I will be that mother that has the space set up for the boys, if we have two boys, if not just the one boy, where it's like, yeah, you go and release that rage. And if we have a daughter and she needs to release the rage, like, go release the rage. Because when we don't release the rage then lives in our TMJ and jaw tension. It lives as a low libido. It lives as control issues, numbness, resentment. But when you heal your relationship with rage and anger, you then can start speaking your truth with ease. You stop people pleasing. You reclaim your power, your depth, you reclaim yourself. And when you reclaim yourself, you reclaim your full magnetism. So if you really, really, really want to be able to feel in your body, wow, I can feel like the ugliest parts of me and still be loved and still be accepted and feel safe, that is just one of the bajillion reasons why you need to come to my 3-day immersion. The 3-day immersion, it is permission. It is permission. It is safe. It is the deepest trauma release you will ever experience. Other people in the industry that have come, they have tried to replicate it. They cannot. Even if I gave somebody like my outline, you couldn't replicate it because like I said, I think I said this earlier on this podcast, I am adjusting based on what you need. It is intuitive for me. I am changing my words, the music. I use all these different tools to help you go deeper. And every immersion is different. So if you've been to one before and you want to come again, come again. Because whilst we'll go through the same kind of modalities, the way that I will run them is slightly different depending on what I can feel the women wanting. We are not just talking about healing, we are doing the healing. We are completely shifting everything in your body so that you can actually finally feel safe in your feminine magnetism. So if you aren't already on the wait list, make sure that you get on the wait list so that you do not miss out when tickets are released, because last year we had 2 immersions, this year we have 1. So there are very limited spaces. I don't just take anybody. We have a maximum amount of people because I know how many people I can I can hold the energy of. And as Cara Jane actually shared in the testimonial video, she really appreciated that it was intimate because she felt like I actually could be with every woman, and that adds to the safety element. So make sure you're on the wait list. We also are doing a new masterclass called Muse. Yes, sexiest fucking name. So I was like, I want to create a whole program of like being the muse for your man, basically. But I'm like, that's essentially what my programs already are. So we've put it into a masterclass name. Muse is happening in a few weeks. So again, we don't have the website page done for that just because we've been so busy with the book, but we do have a like a wait list for that as well. So if you know you don't want to miss out on signing up for that, you can put your name down for that as well. And that way you're not having to worry about like seeing it on the Instagram algorithm or anything like that. Okay. I hope this episode was activating. It was permission. It was powerful. It was everything that you needed it to be. Make sure that you leave a written review if you haven't already on iTunes. I'd be so grateful. And pre-order, or not pre-order because the pre-orders are done by now, but order my book if you haven't already. That is more permission for you. And I will see you in next week's episode.